What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to get stuck into some mindset and some of the psychology around becoming a great guitar player and the things that you need to focus on when life throws lemons at you and gives you challenges, setbacks, and storms. So the first thing we need to talk about, guys, is obviously guitar is very, very difficult, and learning any musical instrument is not an easy pursuit. It requires a hell of a lot of discipline, a hell of a lot of commitment, a hell of a lot of responsibility, and for you to maintain these things over years, if not decades, depending on how good at the guitar you want to become. So what do we then do when life throws storms at us and gives us challenges and setbacks? This is a question that I get all the time, and I see it often when a new student comes to me. They talk about some of the setbacks and challenges that they've had in their life and their regrets where they actually fell off on their guitar playing journey. So the purpose of today's video is to really help you navigate those crises that are going to happen in your life, get through the storms and the tough times so that you can have a long-term relationship with the guitar that lasts decades, that is fulfilling, challenging, rewarding, inspiring. So the first thing we need to do, guys, is be really real that you are going to have setbacks and challenges with the guitar you're playing and just your life. This is something that I don't hear enough guitar teachers or people in the guitar community actually talk about. And I know how it is. It's easy to look at great guitarists and to just think that they've got an easy life, that they've never had any challenges or setbacks. But it's all about the mindset and how you navigate your challenges and setbacks when they come. So I make sure that all of my students are prepared for that, because once you make a commitment to something, often you're going to be tested on that commitment. So life comes along and it can throw a really expensive bill at you. Maybe it's a health crisis. Maybe work gets crazy and suddenly you have a time crisis and can't find the time or the energy that you once had when you first committed to the guitar. How do you handle these things? So this is where commitment is really important. And yes, it's easier said than done. And yes, actions always speak louder than words. But one thing I say to my students is you have to commit. You have to expect that these storms are going to show up, and you have to commit to your destination that you set out to, expecting that that wild weather, that turbulence and those storms are going to show up, and life is going to kick you down at times. So I talk about giving your best. And this is something that I say to my students, and I check in with them every week. I will always ask them, did you give me your best? Now, keep in mind, the best is contextual, because sometimes you have a great week. Sometimes everything goes to plan. Sometimes you don't have much work on your plate. Sometimes your health is great. Sometimes you're feeling amazing and inspired and you pump hours into the guitar. Giving your best on a week like that is actually really easy. But what about on those weeks or days where you really don't feel like it, where you're exhausted, where maybe you're stressed out of your mind, where maybe you have some kind of a setback or challenge show up that tries to knock you off course? Commitment is all about what you do on the hard days, on the hard weeks, sometimes even the hard months, and how you pull through them. And if you have the mindset of commitment and giving your best may not be as good as it is on a good week, but you're still giving your all. And sometimes on your worst day, giving your best is just touching the thing and picking it up. I've definitely had days like that. I've had all sorts of setbacks in my life. And people can look at me and the level that I play on and think, oh yeah, he's got it easy, it's just talent. But they have no idea of some of the challenges and the setbacks that I've had in my life, including a massive health crisis where I was in chronic pain for around 10 years. I still managed to push through. I still managed to pick up the guitar on those days where I felt like absolute crap and I didn't want to practice. But it's all about not giving into your emotions on those days. It's all about remembering the why behind you deciding to commit to the guitar and becoming a better player. Your emotions are fleeting, and we have to acknowledge your emotions. We don't want to be one of those people that just bottles stuff up and pushes them down. Some days you're going to have them come up and you have to look at them, but you then have to still keep going and keep navigating through the storm and through the challenges. This is what commitment is all about. This is what giving your best is all about. So I always sit with my students, and when they've had a bad week, I ask them one simple question: did you give your best? If the answer to that truthfully is yes, I gave my best, we don't have a problem. If the answer is no, then we do have a problem. If the answer was I was lazy, I gave into my excuses, I gave into my emotions, then we have some work to do on your psychology and your mindset and your commitment to the guitar. And sometimes it's about understanding and just purely accepting that yes, we're going to have rough days, we're going to have rough moments with the guitar. But it's about prioritizing it and making sure that you still fit it in your routine. You don't give in to your excuses, and that you become more powerful than your excuses or your doubts and control them instead of them controlling you. One of the other big points I really talk about with my students is that this is a relationship, and you want to have a great relationship. And the reason behind why I do what I do as a teacher is that I have been lucky enough to have a great relationship with the guitar, but not everyone does. And I fully understand that. I get messages and emails from people all the time telling me how they're stuck, how they're frustrated, how they're really, really not feeling good about the guitar playing journey, and that this thing that was once a source of joy, love, and inspiration has turned into a nightmare, a source of frustration and a source of pain. I hate hearing those stories. I don't want anyone to experience that of the guitar, and something that I love so dearly. So I say to people, it's a relationship. You have to invest in it. You have to commit to it. You have to commit to it to the longer term. And you have to understand that you're going to have challenges with that relationship, and you've got to work through them at times. Sometimes you need to shuffle around your schedule. Sometimes you need to reprioritize things. Sometimes you need to look at your distractions and see if they're getting in the way of your guitar playing progress and your journey and your goals. And you've got to be brutally honest with yourself. And that's the hard part. But I say to people, we need to adopt the 70-year-old mindset. What is the 70-year-old mindset? It is where we think from the point of being old. We think of being a 70-year-old in our life and looking back at our journey. That person can look back at the storms and the trials and the tribulations of their life and just see them in context of the greater picture. They're not so big when you look through the lens of decades. What's one bad week amongst 51 other good ones if we have 52 weeks in a year? Or 52 opportunities to improve and to reach our guitar playing goals and push the needle forward? What's one bad day amongst 364 other good ones if we really give our best on those days and we do not give into our emotions, we do not give into our doubts, we do not give into our excuses or our laziness, worst of all? So here I'm going to load up a diagram, and I'm going to talk about the guitar pyramid. And this is a little diagram that you might like to screenshot and print out and put on your computer, your workstation, or where you practice guitar. The bottom layer of this pyramid is all about commitment. You have to make a decision. You have to make a commitment to your goals. You have to make a commitment to the guitar, that it's part of your life, that it's important to you enough to prioritize every day. And if you do this, you can then start working on your discipline. Because yes, you are going to have emotions. You are going to have parts of yourself that aren't disciplined, that you need to tame, that you need to overcome, that you need to step into power and control over. Because for a lot of people, their excuses, their circumstances control them. And that's not the mindset that it takes to become really great at guitar. Guitar is way too hard for that. Once you master discipline, you have to take responsibility. So this is looking at your life and actually choosing to take responsibility for things that might be out of alignment, for not letting your excuses and your doubts get in the way, for actually taking the reins and taking responsibility of when you mess up, when you lose focus, when you get distracted, when your practice routine isn't good, or when you're just completely falling off the wagon and letting go. Then you have to choose to study, and you have to continually study the guitar. Now, this could be different techniques. Maybe your goals are to sweep pick. So obviously you're going to need to study the mechanics of sweep picking and that technique. You're also going to need to learn more about arpeggios and the things that we're going to play musically when we're using a technique like sweep picking, because they're different. Maybe you want to learn more about rhythm. Maybe you want to learn more about theory. Maybe you want to learn more about harmony. There is always something that you can be studying to become a better guitarist. But you first need the bottom layers of the pyramid in place. You need commitment, you need discipline, you need responsibility, and then you need to continually study and restudy the instrument. It's a journey, it's a relationship. It should last decades. That's our goal. And this brings us to the final point of the pyramid, which is actualization. If you can do all these things and master these things within yourself, intrinsically, you are going to become a great guitarist and you're going to reach your goals. And you've got to be able to do this over the longer term. Guitar is very difficult. It takes years to become a great guitarist, if not decades. There is no such thing as an overnight success. It's grinding away for years, for decades, until you become an overnight success. And that's the truth of it. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, it's more about motivation. If you want to dig into my free 7-day metal guitar bootcamp, there is a link for that below where we dig more into technique, but I still talk about some of these concepts with motivation and mindset and psychology with guitar. So if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you comment below. Leave what is ever your biggest challenge with the guitar at the moment in the comments, and let's see if we can fix it up and get you moving on your guitar playing journey. And if you enjoyed today's video, I want you now to go and check out some of my other lesson videos where you can learn more about speed building and the different concepts that I apply with mindset and psychology on the guitar to become a better guitar player today.